A couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to race a Corvette around a professional racetrack. And let me tell you, I about lost my mind. I had no business driving a Corvette around a race car track. I mean, not only did I about lose my mind, I about lost my life. Well, today you're gonna meet somebody that has business being behind the steering wheel of a race car. But that's not what we're here about, right? We're here about wealth hacking. Well, this guy not only is an amazing race car driver, but he has built an amazing online business. And we're gonna find out more about his story right now. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the Make 1K series. So this is a series where I am featuring some amazing entrepreneurs that have changed their life because of the businesses that they have created. Now, I'm not bringing these people on so that they can say how amazing they are and how much money they're making right now. I want to share the backstory. I want to find out the origin of how it all started. What were the limiting beliefs that they had to get rid of so that they could create these amazing businesses that have changed their lives, their family lives, and are impacting thousands if not millions of people. If you haven't checked out the other shows yet, then what are you waiting on? I have some amazing interviews already live, so be sure to check those out and subscribe because I have more people coming on to share their stories. Now, this story is a fun one because this is a guy who used to live in the hometown. I used to live in Illinois, and he came to see me because he was interested in working with me as a financial advisor. So when I learned more about his story and that he was a professional race car driver, specifically a drag racer, I mean, I'm intrigued. This dude's going crazy speeds down a racetrack. I mean, okay, this guy's got probably some cool stories to share. But then I learned that he has an online business. He has a membership community around this bracket racing that he is in. And that's when I became really intrigued. So he came to me to talk about financial planning and investing for the future. Turns out we had a lot of things in common. We started talking about online marketing and sales funnels and all that fun stuff. So we really hit it off. Who you're going to meet today is Luke Bogacki, and Luke is one of the most decorated bracket racers in his day. Like, he is well known in the bracket racing community. He's won 2 NHRA World Championships. I mean, I don't really know what that means, but it sounds legit. And for all you that are really into online business and maybe building an online membership platform, he has over 200, maybe 300 paying members that are a part of his community. Like, this guy has it going on. So we're gonna find out more about his story right now.
My main business is an online membership community based around sportsman drag racing, and specifically sportsman drag racers that wish to take their game to the next level. Our program isn't necessarily designed as an introduction to drag racing, although we do have some relatively green members. It's more based around current racers who want to elevate their game and become the best version of themselves on the racetrack. I don't think that my answer here is going to be particularly unique or insightful, but what I had done prior to establishing thisisbracketracing.com and This Is Bracket Racing Elite was to host a number of live driving schools, for lack of a better term, at racetracks all across the country, and had done so with relative success and really enjoyed it, had a lot of fun working with the racers one-on-one. But what I was looking for was the ability to take that program and essentially scale it, reaching more people without necessarily doing more work, right? And obviously that's what that is one of the main benefits to housing everything online and online marketing in general. Let me preface this by saying this is not a paid advertisement, but if I had to select a mentor along the way, it was probably Jeff Rose. Now, full disclosure, I had been in business for quite some time, probably 8 years prior to meeting Jeff, and I ran an online community. I guess it was technically a membership site, although I wouldn't have used that term. And for many, many years, to be completely honest, I thought I was the only person doing what I was doing, because I was the only person doing what I was doing in my market. So the idea that there were other membership sites for other things was completely foreign to me. And in a couple of conversations randomly with Jeff, he's like, well, what are you doing? Okay, let's walk through this. And then along the way, he introduced me to a number of resources and people that helped me tremendously along the way, like Shane and Jocelyn Sams with their flipped lifestyle community. He introduced me to several books. Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek kind of sticks out, but again, if I'm honest with myself, most of the things that were really influential to me either came directly from Jeff or were recommended by him. So there you go. Again, not a paid advertisement, but true. I'll take this in two separate directions, because if I go way back to when I first started doing live schools and really, I guess, started the website in general, I guess what the biggest limiting belief for me would be what is commonly referred to as the imposter syndrome. Like, just the idea that who on earth is going to pay to listen to me talk about drag racing, right? Because it seems far-fetched and it feels like you're putting yourself on a pedestal. Now, as that began to come together, and I realized that there was a lot of people, or at least more people than I ever would have envisioned, willing to do just that, that became really empowering. And then with that comes the pressure of, wow, okay, now I actually have to deliver for these people that truly do believe in me. But that's a little bit more down the road. But that was a big one starting out that I think, if I'm completely honest, I still struggle with at times today, although I've largely overcome it. Now, on the more technical side, like, I'm not a techie person at all, so I've had numerous struggles along the way. When I really got deep into this, I wouldn't say that I didn't know what an email list was, but like, I didn't know how to cultivate it, maximize it, and to be completely honest, I'm still learning along those lines every day. But if I had to pick out one specific like tech area that I really struggled with initially, it was just simply billing and accounting our members, because with my beta group I can literally remember invoicing each member individually every month. And even with, like, it was a 20-member beta group, so but even with that, that was like a multiple hour thing each month, and now our group has grown to over 400 members. Like, I couldn't imagine trying to keep up with that. And I could credit Shane and Jocelyn Sams, who I mentioned earlier, in their Flip Lifestyle community, for walking me through that process and getting something much better established and kind of wrapping my mind around it in general. Okay, we've got to rewind quite a bit. This is back in 2008 when we launched the original thisisbracketracing.com, which I guess technically was a membership site, but all it was a monthly like written training, a written tutorial that I would type out and share with the members for an annual membership of $119. These members got one of those a month, so 12 of those a year. And when we first launched this, it was in, again, February of 2008, and the day that it went live, I remember it like it was yesterday. I was actually driving to a race in Florida, and I was so excited about it. I remember having the laptop open on the console in my truck so that I could do the little happy dance every time that it dinged with a notification, because on that first day, I want to say that we sold 12 of those annual memberships, again at $119 a piece, so what was that, $1,400 or something like that in one day, and I never dreamed that that was possible, and you know what I mean? So it was so exciting. And then to fast forward that to a more recent breakthrough, obviously over the years our site has expanded and morphed and developed, and the program that we offer now is a monthly membership that we've increased the price on steadily as we've gotten more interest. It's now $95 a month. where it used to be $119 a year. And it had always been an evergreen membership community, meaning that it would accept members at any time up until mid-December of 2018, when we decided to close the doors, basically have an open enrollment period up until mid-month, shut the doors until our next open enrollment period, which we'll probably do quarterly. We haven't really even determined yet. At the time, we had 200 members. Within that 3 to 4 week span of open enrollment, we literally doubled membership. Part of that was just everything kind of coming together at once, and then obviously part of it was creating scarcity by setting that deadline and saying that we're going to close the doors. But what an incredible feeling. I mean, just to put it into perspective, my goal for that period was to enlist 50 new members, and I thought that that was pretty lofty. And by the time it was over, we enlisted just over 200. So take that happy dance from 2008 and multiply it by 1,000, and that's where we were at. And this is a little bit of a tricky question for me, because there have been instances along the way, and there are still some programs that we offer that I think would technically qualify as passive income. We offer some online resources basically as a package that can be purchased at any time. And obviously that's something that I did once that keeps creating revenue. But our main business is a membership community, and I don't look at that necessarily through the lens of I wouldn't classify it as passive income, simply because it's something that I'm actively updating, and I work within the community almost every single day. Now, that being said, like, the time that I put into it at this point certainly just doesn't justify the revenue that comes out of it. But I look at that more as just scaling than I do quote-unquote passive income, because again, it's something that I am involved with on an everyday basis. Now, the actual term passive income, by definition, like I say, we've got some things that do that currently, and we're looking into some additional programs, some add-ons, some upgrades, some upsells, and lead magnets too, to be completely honest, for our elite community, that will incorporate in the future, that I would classify more as passive income. But right now, to be completely honest, that's not a huge part of our business model. I could go back and do it all over again, and man, that's a tricky question, because I mean, I'd like to think 3 months from now I could tell myself things that would help me today. You know what I mean? It's just an ongoing process. Two things. I think the biggest thing for me would be to just remind myself, convince myself, like, don't be afraid to step out there and do it. Because I'm one, like, I want to have all of the answers before I take the first step. And in this space, and probably in anything, like, that's just not realistic. And if I would have been more open-minded in the beginning, I think I would have grown to greater heights much more quickly. And just the idea of, like, just go do it and try it. And if it's a mess, and if you fail, you'll learn something from it, and you can pivot into something better. And when I'm more open-minded to doing that, I've definitely had much greater success. And then more specifically, if I could go back in time, I would tell myself, focus way more on email than on social media. And maybe that's just because I still to this day don't have a great grasp of using the social media tool. But if I could go back in time and take 30 minutes from every hour that I spent on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and instead dedicated that to building an email list and cultivating an email list, I would be so far ahead of where I am right now, because in our experience, like, that truly converts. So that would be my advice. These words I can't even take credit for. These actually first came to me from a group of guys that I went to high school with, and to be honest, at the time I kind of rolled my eyes at it. I'm like, that's a dumb saying, but it has stuck with me ever since, and it is so true. And the quote is, "There's nothing to it but to do it." And by that I mean, if you've got this dream, or you've got this idea that you think could work and create a successful business on your own, you know, whether it's in the online space or not, there's no time better than now to give it a shot. And by that, I don't mean like quit your 9-to-5 and dive into this, but this is something that you can build up over time. The beauty specifically of online business is that most of the time there's very little overhead required, so there's not a ton of risk. Like, dive in and get started, and if you work at it and you fail, you learn from that, and you'll work at it a little bit more, and then maybe you'll succeed, and you'll learn from that, and then you'll work at it some more, and almost inevitably you'll fail and you'll learn from that. But each time you'll pivot and you'll be a little bit better for it, and you just have to dive in and get started. I'm telling you, like I say, a single day of action is worth more than a year of planning. So there's nothing to it but to do it.
Luke's story is amazing. What I love about his story the most is that we're not talking like a NASCAR professional driver. We're talking bracket racing, which is more of a niche type of racing that many people don't know about, and yet he's built an amazing following. But he recognized like he can't do this the rest of his life, so he took that experience, he took that community that he had from bracket racing, and he's built an amazing business out of it that's going to be sustainable for many, many, many years after he stops putting himself in a race car and going insane amounts of speed down the racetrack. I mean, it is phenomenal. I hope you enjoyed this series. I love doing these series and just highlighting different types of entrepreneurs in their beginning journeys and how they started their business. If you want more, be sure to subscribe so you can get more Make 1K stories, more passive 1K stories that have come from all over and have changed their life because they believed in themselves. So be sure to hit that subscribe button because I got more people to highlight. We got some fun stories to share. Until next time, Jeff Rose saying peace.